praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach, John 5:39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you would not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another and seek not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accuse you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? So, with that being said, we discussed some things in Deuteronomy, the 33rd chapter. There are other things that were going to spring out of that. So let us revisit that and recap it. Deuteronomy 33. Oh, I need to get something done in my head, man. Catch this nigga. We are in Deuteronomy, the 33rd chapter. Let's take a look at about the 18th verse, if you will. And it says, and of Zebulun he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. If you remember, rejoice is the Hebrew, the word there is the Hebrew character samak. So what we had here is you grabbing hold to the Ruach HaKadosh. When he's telling you to rejoice. Grab hold. To grab and hold the set apart spirit. How do we, if we looking at something right, and let's look at that. Matthew chapter 26 real quickly. Before we look at Matthew 26, go to Psalms 40 so you can see where Matthew 26 events come from. Because you want to grab, so when he's telling you to rejoice, you know, rejoice is an exhibition of adulation, of happiness, of goodness. Do you know what I'm saying? As we discussed when we dealt with during first fruits of how Yahusha is that first fruit, you know, all the stuff that we went through. And but how we looked at the good tree and the corrupt tree. And we see how the good tree brought forth good fruit and the corrupt tree brought forth corrupt fruit. And that neither of these trees can bring forth fruit contrary to themselves, i.e., a corrupt tree cannot bring forth good fruit because good fruit is contrary, is diametrically opposed to the corrupt tree, and vice versa for the good tree. So what we seen was the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life was the examples of a tree bringing forth good fruit and a tree bringing forth corrupt fruit. And no corrupt fruit came from the tree of life, but corrupt fruit came from the knowledge, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because death came from said tree when you partook. So then we understand when we begin to partake in sin, that is when we begin to produce corrupt fruit. When we're looking at rejoicing and grabbing hold to the set apart water or the set apart ruach or the ruach hakodesh, however you want to describe it, because we're splitting hairs and being nonsensical and we'll be arguing about things of no consequence and missing the key component of what is being occurred here. As we looked at it on Wednesday, it's grabbing hold of the skirt of him who says he's a Yahudim and say, I'm going with you, Elohim is with you. So you're going with Yahusha. I heard Elohim is with you. I'm aware of this. I know this. Well, how do you know this? As we discussed, if you're going to grab hold to this Ruach to be able to rejoice, then you have to do what Amashak did for him to grab hold of it and to see when he rejoiced. Nevertheless, Psalms 40. You bring it back, swing it, you know what I mean? And all that good old stuff and whatnot. Psalms 40 and 9. But we shall partake at verse 7. Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. I delight to do thy will, O my Elohim. Yea, thy Torah is within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips. O Yahuwah, thou know. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not hid thy, not concealed thy loving kindness, thy truth from the great congregation. Withhold not thy tender mercies from me, O Yahuwah. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. Pause. Now let's come over here and let's look at Hebrews chapter 2. We good in Psalms 40. Let's come over here in Hebrews chapter 2. And let's look at something. I might have didn't get all the way to the verse of what I wanted. No, I did. I did. I did. I did. Well, Paul, we'll get it. Work with me here, though. Hebrews 2 and 11. For both he that sanctified and they who are sanctified all of one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare thy name unto my brethren, and in the midst of the body will I sing praise unto thee. In the midst of the body will he sing praise unto thee. Let's go. That's actually Psalms 22. Let's look at where that come from. And let's look at all this here when he's telling you to rejoice. Remember, Zebulon means to be exalted or to dwell. Remember when we did through Zebulon? Zebulon is the fruitful son that teaches us to secure ourselves to the sacrifice of life. So when you're being exalted, we know Yahushua was exalted when he was lifted up, when he died. When he died. You know what I'm saying? He said, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of Elohim and you will be exalted in due time. You have to die. See, this is why the fruitful son, this is why Zebulon is exalted. It's why he's the fruitful son, because he died. It says in the text, it says, my husband, now he will dwell with me. Because how can Yahushua dwell with you and I will dwell with you unless you die? This is how, we mentioned that dealing with first fruits. You want to bring forth fruit, you have to die. We know that a man say the parable of the sower, the seed is the word. It fall in good ground and bring forth fruit. Well, how does it bring forth the fruit? Because the seed has to die. You have to die. See, nobody wants to die. So then when we're not dead. And remember, and this is relative to the rejoicing, and because Zebulon being the fruitful son that teaches us to secure ourselves to the sacrifice of life. All this is doing is just reaching back to what we talked about last week. And truth be told, what we talked about the week before. And 2 weeks before that. And 2 weeks before that. Because all of these things is going full circle, and all of these sermons are interconnecting to get us to the same conclusion. That in order to be the manifestation of the sons of the living Elohim, the sons of light, the true sons of Yasharal, a man has to be willing to lay his life down and resurrect, to have his body dead to sin, but be alive and quickened unto righteousness by the faith which is in Yahushua HaMashiach. There is no manifestation of fruit without partaking from the tree of life. And in order to partake from the tree of life, you must die first. And you're not going to get around that. We've discussed many different things to cause you to consider to save your soul. That you got to do what you, when we talked about what were the fruits of the knowledge of tree and good and evil, it's the uncleanliness, it's the lasciviousness, it's the adultery, it's the fornication, it's the lying, it's the bearing false witness, it's the sowing discord among brethren, it's the unrighteousness, which is an abomination. All the things that are contrary to Yahuwah, which produce death, or which produce corruption, because sin produces corruption. So this is what this tree produces, is corruption. But the knowledge of the tree of life is going to produce everlasting life. And in order you to partake from that, you have to die, and then you're going to produce mercy. You're going to produce long suffering. You're going to produce goodness. You're going to produce truth. You're going to produce temperance. You're going to produce joy. You're going to love Elohim. You're going to produce meekness. That meekness is what caused you to be able to die to the word in the first place. So you'll never lift yourself up in pride if you already had humbled yourself unto death beforehand. See, and we're gonna get to this evening. That's why I'm mentioning all of this here, man. It's always a plan, and praise y'all for it. It's always a plan. But we're gonna talk about something that pertains to feigning obedience. Feigning obedience. See, that's something that the scribes and Pharisees were very good at doing. And feigning obedience is giving the appearance of righteousness, the appearance of production of the fruits of the word, but yet you are not truly obedient to it. All this stuff is just not for a reason. It ties back to everything we've been discussing. Psalm 22 and 22. I will declare thy name unto my brethren in the midst of the congregation. Will I praise thee? Ye that fear Yahuwah, praise him. All ye seed of Jacob, esteem him, and fear him, all ye seed of Yasharal. For he have not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither hath he hid his face from him. But when he cried unto him, he heard him. My praise shall be of thee in the great congregation. I will pay my vows before them that fear him. He said, I will pay my vows to them that fear him. Now, let's take ourselves to Matthew chapter 26, and let's see if this man paid his vows. Let's see if he gave praise in the midst of the congregation. Praise God for the word. Let's see what it do. Let's see what it is. Matthew chapter 26. I got to make sure I got the right spot. Matthew 26 and 23. Matthew 26 and 23. When it comes with the word, the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. So this is when wisdom be able to get produced. But departing from evil is understanding. So this is you begin to get insight. I don't want to get ahead of myself because I've already got a good general consensus, Yahuwah willing I'm alive, of what direction I'm going to take next week. And it's going to just keep on continuing. Everything is a continual flow. And even though we dealing with the law, we didn't start in the law directly. What we finna hit tonight is going to take us back to it because we're going to use examples from it. I don't know if y'all can see the title, but y'all get the gist of what it is. It forces me to have to stay in where I'm at when there's a title. Though sometimes I have not done that, so that's not a guarantee. And he answered and said, he that dip his hand with me in this dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man go as it is written of him. But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had not been good for that man if he had. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? And he said unto him, Thou hast said. Now this is a good example, right? This is a good example. Judas turned on a Mashiach. And a lot of people sit back and look at, he heard the word, but yet Judas turned. But let's see why Judas turned. John chapter 12. And we can see because Judas was a corrupt tree. So Judas was never going to be able to bring forth good fruit because it was never in him to bring forth good fruit. John 12 and 4. Tap it, 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 tap it. Hi, Tabby. Give me 5. Go see your mommy. Go see your mommy. Then saith one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? This he said, not that he cared for the poor, because he was a thief and had the bag and bear what was put therein. So we teach twofold. Number one, it said not that he cared for the poor. So if he didn't care for the poor, he ain't had no mercy in him. Which means he couldn't have had no grace in him. Which means more than likely he ain't have no long suffering in him. And he was a thief. Which we know the 10 Commandments say, thou shalt not steal. So even before he was a disciple, it stated he was a thief. If it says here that while he's a disciple, he was a thief, then he was a thief before he became one, which means he was a corrupt tree, which means he was never going to bring forth good fruit. Remember, it was already written of him that he was going to betray him. So not only that, we got to remember this here, right? Pause. Just a case in point. Pause. Proverbs 26. We bring something back to mind. We ain't dealt with this in a long time. It's not something you visit on a regular basis, but we're going to visit it tonight. Proverbs 26 and 23. Remember that a talebearer is a slanderer. And for the word in Hebrew for the majority of the time, that's a slanderer. See, we read talebearer in English and we look at it as somebody who gossips or tells somebody's business. But in Hebrew, in most, because we've dealt with this before, in most instances, it's someone who is a slanderer, someone who lies on someone or bears false witness, a dissembler, if you will. They say the words of the tail of a talebearer as wounds, and they go down in the innermost parts of the belly. Well, we know that what Judas did, he covenanted with the priests to turn in Yahusha, his dissembling, his slander, caused wounds to go to the innermost part of this man's belly because he was pierced in his side and he got wounds without cause. Because we just brought that back to your memory. Praise Yah for that. A couple weeks ago, last week to be specific, on Pentecost, actually this week, when we were looking at drinking from that cup. And that when you drink from the wine, you get wounds without cause. See, and that's what you got to remember. When you drink from the wine and you get these wounds without cause, that means you're going to be persecuted for no reason. They're going to hate you for no reason. Remember, they hateth me without a cause. He said that he that hate me hate my Father also. He said, now they've seen me and hated my Father also. Because I came and did the works that no other man did. If I wouldn't have came, they wouldn't have had sin. But now that they come, they have no cover for their sin. He said, it is written in their law. They've hated me without a cause. You understand? That's wounds without cause. If you're going to drink from that cup from Yahushua, which we're going to go back and read in Matthew 26, then you're going to get wounds without cause. People are going to do things to you, and you have not done anything other than stand upon the word and proclaim righteousness and stand for truth and what is correct. You understand? This is what happens if you're going to rejoice. That's what you're going to have to grab hold to the set apart ruach. Well, that's a part of grabbing hold to it. Are you willing? If you want to bring forth this fruit, are you willing? Or are you going to be lazy in your work and you're going to be inactive and you're going to be sorry? Praise y'all. You see how that is what you call a segue, because that's what we're working towards today. That is a segue. We're going to get to it. It's not an immediate segue. It's just for you to think about it. Are you going to be faithful in your work or are you going to be lazy? Because you got to remember something, right? Everything you do is representative of how you treat Yah. And I'm going to discuss this again, Yahuwah willing, on tomorrow. Everything you do, that is how you feel about Yah. When you slothful in your business, that's how you feel about Yah. When you not on time, that's how you feel about Yah. That's how you treating him. That's not how you treating me. That's not how you treating your brothers or your sisters. That's how you treating Yah. That's what you need to remember. Because you supposed to be doing it for him. You ain't doing it for me. That's what he told you in Colossians. Everything you do, do not do for men, but do for Yahuwah. Do for the master. Do for Hamashiach. You ain't doing it for me. Please believe it. You ain't doing me no favors. None. You know what I'm saying? I know it's a couple times. People be like, well, you don't start till such and such time. It wouldn't matter if I ain't start till 6:45. You ain't supposed to be there for me when I start. You supposed to be there for y'all. I just gave y'all this example. What you supposed to look at that is them virgins sliding in that house, in that door, and them other ones wasn't there. Now what? You late knocking on the door. Let me in. And he don't let you in. Because that man don't care about none of the excuses you got to give. You weren't ready when you were supposed to be ready, because you wasn't watching, because you wasn't diligent in your labor, because you were slothful. You were inactive. You were inactive. He say, burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. He that hate dissemble with his lips and lay up deceit within him. When he speak fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. Whoso dig a pit shall fall therein. He that roll a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hate those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth work ruin. So when we look at this here, he said, when he speak fair, there's 7 abominations in his heart. Don't you believe him? Now listen what he's telling about. If y'all remember, this the just man falls 7 times. But this is Judas with these 7 abominations in his heart. So let's go back to Proverbs chapter 6. Y'all hold Matthew 26. So remember what it said about him. His hatred is covered by deceit. So this is another instance of where we can see where Judas, because remember it said in John 13 that the devil entered Judas' heart to betray him. So if he betrayed him, that means he hated him. So therefore, if you betray somebody, you best believe you hate him, because you don't betray somebody you love at all. You know what I'm talking about? And one thing for certain, two things for sure. Betrayal don't never come from nobody from the outside. It always comes from somebody on the inside. Because somebody from the outside can't betray you. They can't betray. Matter of fact, before we read this here in Proverbs chapter 6, get this Psalm 55. We just want you to see something, right? He wasn't never, he was a corrupt tree. He wasn't never going to be able to bring forth no good fruit. It was impossible. It wasn't plausible. It wasn't tangible. It just couldn't happen. hmm Psalm 55, verse 9. Remember, he said, one of y'all gonna betray me. He said, it would better for you. It'd be better for him if he wasn't even born. So now we need to see why it would better for him that he wasn't even born. And then that stuff coming to my mind. But it's all about being inactive and slothful. Everything gonna tie together, Yahuwah will. He good now. Destroy, O Yahuwah, and divide their tongues, for I've seen violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go about it upon the walls thereof, mischief also, and sorrow in the midst of it. Wickedness is in the midst thereof. Deceit and guile depart not from her street. That's all you seen with them scribes and Pharisees sitting around plotting how they were going to kill the man. It was wickedness in there. Day and night they were going about it. Mischief. Keep that in mind. Mischief and sorrow, they all in there. Deceit and guile, they don't leave out the street. For it was not an enemy that reproached me, then I could have borne it. Neither was it he that hated me that did magnify himself against me, then I would have hid myself from him. But it was thou, a man, my equal, my guide, my acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together and walked up into the house of Elohim in company. Let death seize upon them and let them go down quick into hell. I promise to you, all this stuff gonna tie into the Deuteronomy 33, what we started. This ain't miscellaneous. It's not miscellaneous. It's not miscellaneous. Let death seize upon them and let them go down quick into hell, for wickedness is in their dwellings and among them. He said, so that means wickedness is in their heart. It's in their tabernacle. It's in them. See, you can't bring forth fruit when that is in you. You can't bring wickedness. You can't bring forth righteousness and good fruit when that is in you. And that's what was in Judas. He was a corrupt tree. So all he could do was bring forth corrupt fruit. That's all he could do. He couldn't do nothing else. Yeah, that was bugging me out right there with that reflection. Proverbs chapter 6. And that's why some people don't get right. It ain't in them. Because see, when I say it ain't in the meaning, it's not in them to destroy the whole tree and make a new one. That's what I mean when I say that. Some people don't have it in them to do what is necessary and required. Because he said this. Make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree corrupt and its fruit corrupt. So he told you it was possible that if you were a corrupt tree, that you would be able to make that tree good. He told you that was possible. So that's why I'm telling you, when I say it ain't in you, meaning you don't have the faith, the desire, the want to do that work. You're lazy, you're inactive, you're idle, you're not willing to do what is required. That's what it means. You don't want to do it. You can do it, but you don't want to do it. See, that's the difference. Now, don't get me wrong. It's some things in life people cannot do because they don't have the skill and the ability to do so. But the ability to save your soul, everybody has the ability to do it. And it's in that particular matter simply comes down to simply want to. Like you could want to fix on airplanes and not be able to do it. No matter how hard you try, you just suck. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be able to learn to be a very, very good ironer of clothes, like some of my peers was, and how my mother wanted me to iron my clothes. I just sucked at it. I wasn't good. It didn't matter what I did. I was not able to replicate what she desired or wanted. As long as the wrinkles was out, I was satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Just wasn't good at it. And I wanted to be able to do what she was asking me to do. Just sucked at it. Some people want to know how to cook, want to be able to do it. Can't do it, they suck. No matter what they do, it's never passable. It's never good enough. But when it come down here to saving your soul, that come down to how bad do you want to do it. Everybody don't want to do it as bad. Some people start out strong, that's what they really want, then they get comfortable and won't do it no more. Get lazy. How you get lazy on your life? How you lazy with your life? Probably because you don't think you're going to die one day. Or you don't actually believe people going. Like I was watching something earlier today, and dude was like how they were trying to come up, how rich people are injecting themselves with young people's blood in order to get some type of vitality because they're trying to figure out a way, as we all know they've always done, the fountain of youth and all this other type of stuff, to live forever. Because they don't want to die. Now you have a hope. You never saw Yahushua resurrect from the dead. That's why people look at you stupid when you talk about. It's the same way they looked at Paul them stupid. This man talking about the resurrection of the dead. This guy's an idiot. That's why people say, oh, the resurrection doesn't pass. Oh, that's never going to happen. Because people don't believe that that is going to happen. But you better bet your bottom dollar and your black behind it's going to happen, or he wouldn't even told you this. No other quote unquote religion in the world is promoting a resurrection from the dead. The Muslims say you die and go to heaven and get 70 virgins. The Jews don't believe in that. The Jewish people, they don't believe in that. All these go study this stuff, man. These people got an afterlife. Every one of them. Yahuwah telling you he gonna take your sinews and your flesh and put them back together and animate you and manifest you back on this physical plane. And you will stand before Job 19 and 25, man, before I read this here, because I feel like it. See, I don't know if y'all believe that or not. You got to believe that. Do you believe that? Because if you don't believe that, if you don't believe that Yahushua resurrected from the dead, and I know you don't believe you're going to resurrect from the dead, and it shows. It shows in your labor for Yahuwah. Nigga work harder for a cracker than they do for their God. What type of crap is that? You think about that. Y'all work harder for men. Ain't now one of you niggas going to be late for your job. And you ain't gonna get, and you gonna apologize to them crackers if you late. You gonna apologize to them crackers if you late. And you feel like you can come on Yahuwah when you feel like it. And it ain't no big deal. You is a wicked, no good, ungrateful bastard to treat a man like that who saved your life. These crackers ain't doing nothing for you. That is a business relationship. You are exchanging a service for money. Don't get it twisted. That's what you doing. You owe this man your life. I don't understand it. You owe this man your life. You can't get to that point where you feel like you just feel like you could treat this man any kind of way and got more fear and respect for a man who can't save you. But that's just me. And I always felt like this here. Don't think I just started feeling like this. And it ain't, I'm talking about is forfeits. My loyalty is to y'all. I don't care nothing about no man. I'm going to make sure I serve y'all 10 times harder than I serve any man. Any man? Are you serious? Ain't nowhere in the world. Ain't nowhere in the world I'm going to give more deference and reverence to a man than Yahuwah. That sounds ludicrous. Because I don't owe this man nothing. But the book say, and that's love. I don't owe this man nothing. But I owe Yahuwah my whole entire existence. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether it's on the natural side or the spiritual side, I owe this man my whole existence. Straight up. So he gonna get more deference and reference than any flesh and blood. Man, we'll just talk to y'all about this here. Y'all got more confidence in the man than you do in your God. It don't make no sense. You relying on the man. I see niggas, they scared to lose their job. But you ain't scared to lose your soul. How them two things even out? This cracker can't do nothing but fire you. Y'all can fire you. Literally. And that don't even bother nobody. Do you know what I'm saying? And they ain't even mentioning that on no means of being terrified of the man. It just sit back and look like, you know what? This man got that much power, and yet he didn't exhibit it to destroy me when I was in my wickedness, but rather yet used his power as a means to draw me with loving kindness, that I might know his mercy and grace and repent before him and serve him all the days of my life. Like, and you're not gonna ride for nobody who do you like that? Consistently, constantly, daily, every minute, every moment, every second of the day? Very well then. Job 19 and 25. For I know that my Redeemer live, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see Elohim, who I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold him, and not another, though my reins be consumed within me. Now I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm speaking for me. First time I read that, I knew it was real. So ain't no random words. You got Job just out the blue saying, I know I'm going to see Elohim even when they weren't, after I've long been in the grave and these maggots and worms done ate up all my flesh and I ain't nothing but bone. I'm going to see this man for myself, and in my flesh I'm going to see him. So I know I'm going to resurrect from the dead. I know it. This Job telling you I know it's going to happen. He didn't say, I think it's going to happen. I feel it's going to happen. That man said that as if he literally seen it going down right then. Like it wasn't no doubt in his mind that this was going to occur. That's how you supposed to feel. That it's not a single solitary doubt in my mind that I'm going to resurrect from the dead, because that's what he told me. And he ain't no liar. And that's what he going to do. And whether I live or die, it makes me no never mind. I'm going to be diligent in this labor till I'm out of here. Because regardless of what, I'm going to see him. That's why he say, whosoever live and believe me shall never taste death. Do you believe that? See, these things resonated with me in the beginning. See, some of y'all grew up in church, reading the book all the time, whatever you did. I ain't grow up doing none of that. So when I picked this thing up, I picked it up on a literal tip, off the rip, like I'm dealing with a man who I've seen and known my entire life, and he telling me what he gonna do and what he not gonna do. And I know this man is solid in his word, and everything he ever told me he done did in his life, he done done it. That's how I approached it when I picked it up. Well, shoot, if that's what he said it is, then that's what it gonna be. That ain't even no thought in my mind he ain't gonna do it. Then if he wasn't gonna do it, he wasn't gonna tell me. He would have told me what he was gonna do that. That's how I approach it. That's how I approach it. Still to this day. Because that's what I know I'm dealing with. I framed, come on back to Proverbs chapter 6. I literally framed it in the aspect of I'm dealing with somebody I've known my entire life who's always been solid and 100 with me my entire time I've known him. That's how I approach it. That's how we all should approach it. We don't approach it like that because you can't see him. So because you can't see him, you doubt him. That's why I be telling you, people don't love righteousness. People don't love that. That's why they hated Yahushua. People don't love that. Remember, when we dealing with him rejoicing, grabbing hold, he told Zebulon to rejoice, Samah, grab hold to that Ruach. How else you going to grab to the Ruach unless you die? Unless you got faith. Because if you have faith, that's the only way you're going to die. Faith, without a faith, you ain't getting up on no tree. Yahushua had faith. That's why he got up on that tree. You ain't getting up on that tree if you don't believe. I guarantee you that. Proverbs 6 and 16. You ain't getting up on that tree you don't believe. He told you take up that stake daily and follow. You ain't getting up there you don't believe. You gotta go out there and do that word. He said, I work in the word. He said, I work while the light. He said, the night cometh, no man can work. See, niggas lazy. See, niggas lazy. Y'all work for a little while. You feel like y'all. See, the problem is, a nigga want natural stuff. That's why they start working. You know what I'm saying? You want the car, you want the house, you want the wife, you want the husband, you want all this stuff. That's why you start working, because you wasn't working for spiritual stuff. That wasn't what you were looking for when you started working. You wanted something tangible you could touch, you could smell, you could feel. You wanted to get a little tickle in your pickle, a little tingle in your vagina. That's what you were looking for. You wasn't looking for no knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You wasn't looking for no Ruach HaKodesh. You wasn't looking for no faith. You wasn't looking for none of that. You wasn't looking for none of that. That wasn't your concern. You wasn't looking for salvation of your soul. You wasn't looking for none of that. That wasn't your concern. You said it with your mouth, but you ain't believe it with your heart. See, that's the difference. That wasn't what you were looking for. You wanted something you could touch. You wanted something temporary. You ain't want nothing eternal. Or you were boasting in your flesh, or a combination of the two. See, now, at this very moment, while today is today, you ought to be seeking after the things that are eternal. See, it's a little different for some of y'all now because all y'all married. Like he told you, it's easier for you to serve y'all when you ain't got no spouse, because you ain't got no distraction. Unless you got a spouse who gonna push you to say, you know what, let you focus on this right here, because I'm gonna be over here. And then we'll come back together this here particular time. Because yeah, you need to get your soul right. That's what we need to focus on. See, nobody, you just sit back and look at when the last time you had that conversation with your spouse. Either or. It don't got to be the man. It could be the woman. The woman could come to her husband and say, baby, I think I need some time. I need some time to do this right here. I need some time to fast. I need some time to pray. I need some time to be, I don't want to defile myself with bodily fluids from sexual activity. I don't want to be focused on that right now. I don't want to be focused on the fact that I'm running behind. I need to focus on this here. Ain't nothing wrong with that. The book tell you that. Tell you that in 1 Peter chapter 3. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, how many people think like that? You can sit back and look at that. Because this your soul you talking about. It's a time and place for everything. But everybody meeting that grave, and is your soul going to be ready when you meet it? That should be your number one concern. Single, married, kids or not. Job, no job. Home, no home. Food, no food. I don't care what you got going on. Fun, no fun. Clothes, no clothes. Your soul should be number one. Above everybody. Your kids, your spouse, your family, your friends. Number one. Number one. Because kids and friends and family and spouses, human being period, they can switch up and change. Yahooo change if not. He ain't never switched out on nobody. And that's one person you ain't never got to worry about turning on you. Unless you turn on him. Because he faithful. You got to remember that. You got to remember that. Well, you think Yahushua was going to get up on that tree, man, and he ain't know his father going to resurrect him from the dead? We don't believe it, though. That's why we don't want to get up there. You don't believe he going to resurrect you from the dead. That's why you won't kill yourself. That's why you won't say, nail me up there, man. Go ahead, pierce me in the side, man. Go ahead, man. It's nothing. It's nothing. He ain't going to suffer his car that want to see corruption. It's nothing. He said, I'll get up and I will esteem in the light of his countenance. He'll show me the ways of life. It's nothing. Come on, let's get it. You ain't gonna do what he did with Peter and say, how will the scriptures be fulfilled? You know what I'm saying? The Son of Man must suffer. How else will the scriptures be fulfilled? When they come and get you, you ain't gonna be like, who you look for? Yahushua of Nazareth. I am he. You gonna be like, oh, you ain't gonna be ready to go. If you want to be, this is the mind of Yahushua. This is the mind you got to have. This is what I'm sitting here. This the particular things, the perfection of your faith. That's what we talking about. What you think the gospel's preached us for? To perfect our faith so we can be like him, think like him, move like him, but most importantly, have faith like him. See, everybody say we need to follow his example, but the example of faith that Yahushua exhibited, no one likes to discuss. That man had a faith to know that his father was going to resurrect him from the dead because he told him he would. He said, son, I need you to go do this right here. And I'm going to do this right here for you when you're done. He said, that's a bet, Pop. I got it. It was no doubt. It was no doubt. It was no doubt. He knew it. He said, let's get it then. This is what's got to be done. Proverbs 6 and 16. These 6 things doth Yahuwah hate. Yea, 7 are abomination. Remember it said that he speak fair. He got 7 abominations in his heart. So we see that Judas is a corrupt tree. Remember this all going back to Judas. Lazy nigga. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speak lie, and he that sow discord among brethren. Ain't nowhere in the world we turn around and say Judas is a good tree. I don't care how much word he was hearing. He wasn't no good tree. That's a corrupt tree. Because if that's what's in his heart, then this nigga is dastardly. By all means. Remember, wickedness and deceit dwell in the midst of the city. That's what Psalm 55 told you. That's what Psalm 22 told you too. All this stuff come with drinking from that cup. Nigga drink from the cup and be shocked when stuff start. What is happening to me? Where I gonna get? Nigga, suck it up, nigga. Ain't nobody busting you upside the head with no crown of thorns, nigga. Ain't nobody hit you upside the head with no wreath. Ain't nobody killed you, cuz for righteousness' sake. Ain't nan one of us shed no blood not to sin. Nigga need to stop crying, suck that junk up. When it come down for suffering for the word, rejoice. Grab hold to the set apart ruach. Your name written in heaven. That's the mind you got to have. Is it going to be joyous while people may be slandering your name, disrespecting you, persecuting? Absolutely not. But then you have to remember 1 Peter chapter 3. And then we'll come on back to Matthew 26. I didn't want you to keep in mind what's in 1 Peter chapter 3. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not being callous to the point that I don't understand that people are human or this, that, and the third. What I'm trying to get to the point is for you to have the mind of to let your faith overpower those things, even in the midst of the persecution, even in the midst of the suffering. Let your faith overpower that. Because if you don't let your faith overpower it while you are going through those things and dealing with those things that could consume you and could cause you to fall away and not be diligent in your labor and to hold fast to your profession because you forgot your first love and let it slip through your mind because you were more concerned about you than focusing on you were being a partaker in the body of the man whom you say is your Savior, your King, and your Master. Therefore, meaning you are heir to eternal life. You forgot what you came for. That's what I mean when say suck it up. Because that's what Yahushua did. He sucked it up. He didn't forget what he came for. We forget what we came for. Or did you even come for it in the first place? 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 13. Make it 12. For the eyes of Yahuwah are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of Yahuwah is against them that do evil. Who is he that will harm you if you be followers of that which is good? But and if ye suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye, and be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled. But sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks you a reason of the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear, having a good conscience, that whereas they speak evil of you as of evildoers, that they may be ashamed that falsely accuse your good behavior in Amashiach. For it is better if the will of Elohim be so, that you suffer for well doing than for evil doing. You see that there? He say it is better for you if the will of Elohim be so that you suffer for doing right than for doing wrong. And that you have a clear conscience that when these people speak evil of you, that they're falsely accusing your correct conduct and Mashiach, bringing damnation on themselves. I told you before, if people done said stuff about me, and it's sometimes where I wanted to tell them about themselves. It's sometimes where I wanted to open hand slap a couple people. It was one individual that if I would have had the opportunity, I would have taken his life with no hesitation. Do you know what I'm saying? But just because I'm a natural man, those thoughts gonna pop in there. But I know I can't kill this man. I can't slap this nigga. I could tell this man by himself, but I'm gonna close my mouth because that's what Hamashiach did, and I will say nothing. And I'll let them say whatever it is that they want to say, and I'll let them get off whatever they want to get off. Yahuwah know the truth. Let him render judgment as he see fit. That's not because I understand the word, because I see what my master did and I'm seeking to follow suit, because I'm going to allow the word to dominate than my emotions or my flesh. Because I was thinking about this the other day, right? Just as simply as what the book said. Die to sin to live unto righteousness. I'm going to die to my flesh to live unto Elohim, which means I'm going to live unto the word. The same way when Yahushua say, let this cup pass, that with the flesh. But he died to that to live to the word. My flesh will not dictate my reaction. Because I can simply go ahead and do this. Luke chapter 17. Before we swing back to Matthew 26, because I had that in my head while we were moving and grooving. And we got to hit that, right? You know, praise y'all for the word. I just want everybody to think like Yahusha and have the faith that he has. That's my hope and desire for every one of you. Those that are watching live, Yahuwah willing, those that'll see it later. To have that mind, because that mind is a level of tranquility and peace in the midst of affliction, persecution, and suffering that is uncomparable to anything in this life. The knowing and understanding of the will of your Elohim and having the mind and the heart to execute it is above any riches or praise that any man could ever place upon your hands. You gotta sit back and look at it. Man, I done told y'all this before, right? I don't care about nothing in this life other than saving my soul. I wouldn't care if I didn't accomplish nothing in this life as long as I save my soul. Are there things in life that I would like to do? Certainly, absolutely. Don't think that I'm just saying, oh, that nigga don't want to do nothing. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it is secondary to the salvation of my soul. Everything in this life is secondary to that. Everything and everyone, including myself, is secondary to that. It's secondary to that. Is secondary. Salvation is always first. There's nothing in this life that I would rather do than deliver my soul and live with my Elohim forever and to be resurrected and meet him in peace. Or if it's his will that I'm alive, to meet him in the sky that's coming in peace. That's my number one concern. I have other concerns outside of that, but they're not going to trump that. It's not like this, like it's that serious. Like you got stuff that you know you got going on and you see, but my soul is first. My soul is first. It's got to be first. Because if I don't have Yahuwah, I have absolutely nothing. Ain't no wife going to replace him. Ain't no child going to replace him. Ain't no amount of money going to replace him. Can't no car, no house replace him. Definitely not no accolades from no man is going to replace him. You got to have that in perspective. Ain't no amount of fun going to replace him. Can't no clothes replace him. No man or woman or child can give the feeling that Yahuwah can give. They can't give it. Because that feeling that he gives is eternal life, of which no man, woman, or child can possess. Because I wasn't talking about no feeling like no emotion. I'm talking about being the feeling of knowing that his Ruach is present. The same way people get comfort by knowing someone they love is present. You want to have that same feeling of knowing that someone you love is present, and that's your God. Nevertheless, Luke chapter 17 and verse 1. Then he said unto the disciples, it is impossible, but that offenses will come. But woe unto him through whom they come. For it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he is cast into the sea, than that he should offend one of these little ones. He said, you know, offenses going to come, but destruction come to the nigga who threw it come. And see, the people who them offenses come through, they come to people who inactive and they idle and they ain't on their job. They're not on their job. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Back to Matthew chapter 26. What we at? 47 minutes? Whoa. Spend a little longer on that than I anticipated. I didn't want you to think, man. Just weigh and consider. That's all I can ask you to do. You got to purge yourself whole. You got to purge yourself clean. Back to Matthew 26. We invert what? 25. You got to purge yourself clean. You get your soul right. Faith, the only thing gonna get your soul right. Can't nothing else get your soul right but that. Faith get you right. Because faith make your body die. Because you believe. Because you willing to hang yourself on that tree. I'm trying to tell you now. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and baruched it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks, and he gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my body of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it new with you in my Abba's kingdom. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then saith Yahushua unto them all, You shall be offended because of me this night, for it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. Now he told him something. He just drank from this cup, then he went and sung a hymn. He was rejoicing. And then after he rejoiced with him, he told him he was going to resurrect from the dead. Because why else would he rejoice? Because I'm finna grab hold onto this Ruach HaKodesh. I got to die tonight to grab hold to it. See, we were talking about that you would eat suck in the Deuteronomy 33 Wednesday. We went into that, but I'm going to have to speed that part of it up. And we were talking about the treasures hid in the sand. And you know that hid is Taman, you know, the Tau, the Meme, the Noon, and it's the covenant of the Ruach of life, or even you'll say water, the word of life. This is what's hid. What was hid? It was the gospel of Yahushua that was hid. Remember this mystery, Romans 16:25 tell you that. This mystery was hid from the beginning of the world, but now it's made manifest through the gospel and through the prophets for the righteous obedience of faith. Remember, he told him, he said, man, many righteous men sought to hear the things that you heard and hadn't heard them. Remember what we read? We talked about this not too long ago. Peter said the angels was looking into this here. They ain't even know. They ain't even know. They want to know. Well, this is what's hid. This is the treasure that's hidden. It's hidden in the sand. And that sand is cold. Little ka'u and lamad. And you sit back and you look at, and it's teaching you to join yourself to the sacrifice. That sacrifice is in the sand. So these treasures is hid in the sand. So when you sit back and you look at that this covenant of the word of life is hid in a teaching that is going to teach you to sacrifice in order for you to separate yourself. So this taking us back to what we just been talking about for the last 45 minutes, and that's you dying. That's how you're going to get the treasure hid in the sand. See, come over here to Matthew chapter 13. Yahushua was the treasure hid in the sand. Will you drink from him? He was that fountain. But see, people don't want to die. See, I already know what it is, man. What you want to do is greater than what Yahuwah say do. 13:44. And Yahuwah say to die. All niggas happy, but I keep the Sabbath, but I don't eat no pork. But you still alive though, cuz. You haven't nailed yourself to the tree. You haven't died with him. You got to suffer with him to reign with him. How many times do we have to tell you that? Be a partaker of the afflictions of the gospel and be not ashamed of them. Nigga running from that. Now, and I don't want y'all to take this the wrong way. This is not disparaging the desire for people to come together. But niggas want to come together because they don't want to suffer. That's they don't want to piss niggas off. So they try to hide on, oh, we can't come together because of Doc. We can't come together because a lot of you niggas are wicked. And nobody don't want to tell nobody that that nigga is wicked and that nigga don't believe in Yahuwah. Because you want to come, see, Yahushua didn't come around there with all that sugar coating and butt padding and pussyfooting around with these niggas. He said, I know these niggas wicked. When do you see any of the prophets playing around with these people? Oh, that's the Israelites. See, we can't put our dirty laundry out there in the public. You sound stupid. You a pleaser of men. You can't be a servant of a Mashiach seeking to please men. You got to stand on the word and say what's right and let the chips fall where they may. Don't nobody want to be hated for the word's sake. Everybody want to be each other's friend instead of standing with Yahuwah. When that man sat back and them people was around there eating, drinking, and playing, he said, who on Yahuwah's side? The Levites stood up and said, we riding with you. Care nothing about none of these dudes over here. I'm riding with you. My loyalty is with you. My loyalty is not to the children of Israel. My loyalty is to Yahuwah, my Elohim. That's the mind you got to have. I don't care if I make you upset. I don't care if I say something you don't like. I don't care if you get offended. My loyalty is to my Elohim and not to man. Period. That's the mind Yahushua had. That's the mind we got. See, that true faith right there. When you are willing to stand in the way of opposition for proclaiming righteousness and proclaiming this man's truth in the great congregation, not even caring what anybody else think. That's why he said, how can you receive honor that seek honor one from another and not the honor that come from Elohim only? Because your loyalty is not to him. Your loyalty is to a man. So you don't want to displease a man. You don't want to upset a man. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to say the things that don't nobody want to hear. Proclaim what is right and let Yahuwah be esteemed. And screw these niggas' feelings. This about their soul. You love them enough, you're telling the truth. We don't love each other enough because we want to be friends. Again, the kingdom of Shamahim is like unto the treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hide and for joy go and sell all that he have and buy that field. We just talked about this not too long ago. He told you to rejoice. Grab hold to that set apart Ruach Zebulon, the fruitful son that teaches you to join yourself together to the sacrifice of life. You're going to find that treasure that's hid in that field. You're going to find what is hid. But you're going to find that covenant of the Ruach of life and say you're going to hide it in that teaching. That's teaching you to separate yourself by sacrifice. Because Psalms 119:11 said, I've hid thy word in thy heart that I might not sin against thee. And if you hid the word in your heart, that means that you got the new covenant in your heart. And if you got the new covenant in your heart, that means you sacrificed yourself with Yahushua HaMashiach to die to sin, to live to righteousness, and proclaim the goodness, power of the kingdom of the living Elohim, irregardless of the feelings of a man. That's what that means. You got to be, and that means you were willing to forsake and give up everything that you had for that covenant. For that covenant. For that ability to, for that everlasting life, you were willing to forsake everything you had for it. And that's what y'all, and we done talk about this ad nauseum over the last 3-4 years. How many of y'all willing to forsake everything you got so you can be perfect? That you might have treasure in heaven, like he told that rich man. Who willing to step aside from everything they got for Yahuwah's sake, for Yahushua's sake, for the gospel's sake? Ain't many willing to do that. Ain't many willing to do that. Ain't many willing to do that. And that's what I told you before. And that's just not no man thing. That just ain't no woman thing. Because you got women who willing to do it, just like you got men who willing to do it. How many people willing to do that? That's the question. That's what begs an answer. Calls us to consider. When we consider and we weigh it and say, I got sufficient to count the cost. I got sufficient to pay. See, a lot of people don't walk away from the word because just like he said, you don't want nobody to say, oh, he began to build and he couldn't finish. Because you don't want nobody to laugh at you. Might as well quit if you ain't got enough to pay. Ain't no sense of playing with it. Go on, live your life. But if you know deep down in your heart and in your soul you got enough to pay, then shoot, man. Pay that cost. Lay your life down and get your reward. Don't play with it. Shoot, man. Come on back to Deuteronomy 33. I done said too much. I already know. Man, if nigga watered this junk down and made it sweet and made it this, that, then the third, we'd have hundreds of people around here, man. But one thing's about it, and two things is for sure. I can't say why I was like that. Maybe because of my auntie. Maybe because of my granddaddy. Maybe because of my mama. Maybe because it was innately in me from my pops. But I ain't never cared about being accepted by men. I never cared. I didn't care if people liked me. If you don't want to be my friend, oh well, that's your loss. Just how I just viewed it. And it wasn't because I felt like I was anything better than anybody or this, that, there, and the third. It's just simply because I'm comfortable with me. I'm just comfortable with me. I'm comfortable with who I am and what I do and what I have to be able to benefit whoever I come across. So therefore, I'm secure with myself. So therefore, I have no need, want, or desire to be accepted by anyone. Do you know what I'm saying? At all. So when you have that level of confidence in that you don't care if people like you, you don't care if people accept you, then it's easier for you to serve Yahuwah. Because you're not going to care if these people don't want to be your friend anymore. Like you said, they separate you from their company for his name's sake. They cast your name as evil. You don't care if they do it. It don't matter to you. Because as long as I'm accepted of my God, what do I care if I'm rejected by a man? What do I care? Yahuwah is the first, coming across the word was the first time in my life that I said I want to be accepted by someone and not with my God. Or whom I never knew who in my entire life that he was my Elohim. Definitely didn't know his name. Definitely didn't know his will. Nor his mercy. Nor his goodness. Nor his righteousness. But when I learned of it, I wanted to be accepted of him. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's it. And that's the mind that every last one of us should have. That I want to be accepted of him. See, our people are so broken and battered and bruised and tossed to and fro that we are desirous of one thing, and that's to be loved. Do you know what I'm saying? And ain't nothing wrong with that. Please don't think that I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. Because there's nothing wrong with that. But in the midst of wanting to be loved, and when I say this, it's not necessarily wanting to be loved as far as having a spouse, but wanting to be loved, or that want of acceptance, because you feel like when you get accepted, someone loves you, they care about you. We want that, and it causes us to entangle ourselves with people that we probably had no business entangling ourselves with. So that when we actually come across to Yahuwah, we know that we're not worthy of being accepted of him. But we've been beaten down in that area so bad that when he extends the fact that he is seeking to accept us and receive us unto himself, we run from it. One thing I've always noticed in my lifetime is that people love the people that treat them horribly and cling to them and reject the people who actually genuinely love and care about them. Because that's what we did to Yahushua, and that's what we did to every prophet that came before him. And we have to turn from that process. Because one of the biggest things that we run across is, and I seen a sister talking about this. I'm not getting off top, but I had to get this off my chest. I seen a sister, and I done told y'all this before. I seen a sister say this here, right? Black people hate change. And you know why black people hate change? Because black people hate accountability. So you don't like to be held accountable. That's why we make excuses for all our celebrities when stuff come out on them. I mentioned that there because I watched that and I shared it in the thing. I seen that little clip of Morgan Freeman talking. If a nigga couldn't look at Morgan Freeman and tell that nigga be sexually harassing them women, he a fool. I seen it in his eyes. I ain't gonna sit back and say he raping anybody, but you can definitely tell he could creep a woman out and make her feel uncomfortable. You seen it in his eye. He ain't had no shame. But you don't want to believe that this person could do that, because if you have to hold him accountable, that means you got to hold yourself accountable. Or you got to hold somebody accountable that's in your circle. Or hold somebody accountable that's your friend. Or maybe hold your wife accountable. Or maybe hold your husband accountable. And black people don't like that because that forces you to have to change. So when you actually hold these people accountable, they want to call you a coon. Or they want to say we shouldn't air our dirty laundry. Man, I don't care nothing about that. Somebody got to hold us accountable. How else are we going to change? We don't like it. That's why we do that. That's why we do that. Oh, not my son. He's a good man. He's a good young man. I don't know why they killed him. He was trying to turn his life around. Are you serious? We don't like to hold each other accountable. We don't like it. We run from it. We don't want to talk to somebody who's going to give us a perspective of which we don't want to hear. We don't want to talk to the person that's going to give us wise counsel. We want to talk to the person who's going to justify us. Talk to the person who's going to pacify us. Talk to the person who's going to enable us and strengthen us in our own will. And that has to stop. That has to stop. You have to realize the person who tell you the truth is the person who love you, because that means they actually care about the outcome of your experiences and your choices. See, we don't even look at it that way. When somebody telling you something you don't want to hear, they actually care that you have a positive outcome. Not a desired outcome, a positive outcome. An outcome that will be beneficial to you and whoever is a partaker of said decision. That means we have to grow up in our thought process. 33 and 18 of the book of Deuteronomy. Actually, we could drop down and get to what I need. And what I need is the 24th verse. I didn't want you. It's just something to consider, man. That's all. Matter of fact, before we read that, man, let me get to what I need to get to. Proverbs 19 and 15. Let me go ahead and do that now, man. I'm out here playing around, man. I'll end with that. Deuteronomy 34. It'll be good. I'll crank it up a little bit. 19 and 15 of Proverbs. Don't try to get two things, man, as it pertains to this topic. Slothfulness cast into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. He that keep the commandments keep his own soul, but he that despises his ways shall die. Now, slothful. Slothful, slothful, slothful. It's at sly. It means you're lazy. Exactly what it means. Just that simple. You lazy bastard. And the reason why I say that is because of this. Pause. Luke chapter 2. Because remember, a bastard is an illegitimate child. So if we're going to be the sons of the living Elohim, then we have to be diligent. So I'm not just saying lazy bastard for the sake of saying bastard. I'm saying it for a reason. Luke 2 and 45. Because remember, if you're a bastard and not a son, then he's not going to receive you. So I want you to be received. You know what I'm saying? You should want for your brother what you want for yourself. If you want prosperity for yourself, whatever you define prosperity being, and prosperity is not equated to the level of Federal Reserve notes one has accumulated. You know what I'm saying? Then you should want that for your brother. You know what I'm saying? If you want happiness for yourself, you should want that for your brother. If you want peace for yourself, you should want that for your brother. You know what I'm saying? If you look a man in, and I felt like that before the word though. If you look at a man in the face and you say, that's my nigga, that's my friend, and that's my brother, then you should want for his children what you should want for your own, irregardless if you had children or not, because you would look at his children as if they were your own, and you would treat them as such. Because if you don't do that, then why are you even friends with this person? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that. I ain't understand that before the word. Like how that's your nigga and you don't love your nigga's kids like they're your own kids. And that you don't want for his kids what you would want for your own kids. It don't matter if that ain't what he want for his own children. Don't even matter. See, that's why people really be but I ain't gonna say everybody like that. Some people ain't, but a lot of people ain't, but a lot of people are. It's for fast. They love their friends in that fashion. That's why I put that clip in there with Mano the other day, right? Because a nigga will not like you. And a nigga will only be around you to where it benefits them. And they won't tell you they don't like you. And they don't tell you they don't care for you until what they can get from you they no longer can get, or they done use it all up and they slide. And then they let that be known. See, that's not a friend. That's not a friend. See, a friend I'll tell you, hey man, I don't like you right now, but I still rock with you though, because I don't like what you did. Or I don't like what you said. I didn't agree with that. But that don't sit back and they're not around you for what they can get from you. Every one of y'all should have been taught that from your parents as a child, that that's not a friend. That they only want to be around you because what they can benefit from you. That's not a friend. A friend gonna be around you whether you got son or not. I was talking to a friend of mine. That nigga was talking stupid about something else. But I let this nigga know, boy, you did things for me 2 decades ago, literally, that I still ain't never forgot. And I could never do nothing sour or come at you sideways for that. Because I will remember that as long as I'm alive, because you showed yourself to be a real friend. It wasn't nothing that you went and told nobody you did this or did that, or you did it because you thought you were going to get this from me. You did it because of the love and care that you had for me as my friend. See, we don't even move that way. I don't know what done happened. Niggas be out to get what they can get from a nigga. You know what I'm saying? Well, people always been to do it, but it seems to be magnified. And it's probably because of the social media thing. But when they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem seeking him. And it came to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. All that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have besought thee suffering. And he said unto them, How is it you sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my Abba's business? And they understood not the saying which he spake unto them. He said he had word to do. So he wasn't being slothful. I got word to do. Because see, slothfulness cast you into a deep sleep. So you have the ayin, the sod, the lamad, and the hay. So what it is, look. Know the experience. You will know the experience of the discipline of the way because you're lazy. So then when you come back into deep sleep, and that's Tardama, and you have the Tau, the Raj, the Dalit, the Meme, and the hay. And now you're going to look at the thoughts that move you to be joined together to chaos. So this is what happened. So now you're going to get to know the discipline. Well, you're going to be able to know the experience of the discipline other way. Also with idleness, that word is remiyah. It's slackness and deceit. See, remember I told you how that deceit would pop back up? See, that pop back up. See, that's also meaning deceit. You have the rosh, the meme, the yod, and the hay. So when you look at that, right, again, you're going to look at the thoughts of your work, which are going to bring chaos or destruction for you. So this is why it's not beneficial to be lazy. Let's look at an individual who was slothful and lazy. Numbers chapter 13 calls you to fall into a real deep sleep. And that word for deep sleep means deep sleep or also trance. Numbers chapter 13, verse 26. Numbers chapter 13, verse 26. You know, man, that junk real, man. When I'm talking about real, I ain't talking about this wrath we about to read about because these people were lazy. I'm talking about it's real that Yahuwah is real. His salvation is real. His goodness is real. His justice is real. His mercy is real. His grace is real. Just the same way that his anger is real. His wrath is real. And his judgment is real again. And our level of faith will determine which side of the ledger that we get it on. I pray you get it on the right-hand side. And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Yasharal unto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and to all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, We came unto the land whither thou sentest, and surely it flow with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong and dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we seen the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south. The Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, We be not be able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Yasharal. The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eat up the inhabitants thereof, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come to the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, so we were in their sight. Now, why did I sit back and I read this particular passage about these men bringing an evil report on the land? Well, this is why I read it. Hebrews chapter 11. This is why I read it. Because these men were slothful. And Hebrews 11 is about to bear witness to this. I'm sorry, Hebrews 6, not Hebrews 11. Hebrews 6. Hebrews 6 and 10. 6 and 10. For Elohim is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love which you have showed towards his name, and that you minister to the Kased and do minister. We desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end. He said, I hope that every one of you show hope to the same amount of diligence. Remember he told you that, yeah. See, come over here to Proverbs 12 and 24. It's making me interject this verse a little tad bit earlier than I wanted. But I'm going to have to go ahead and do it because it's all going to work in together. So praise the Lamb. Proverbs 12 and 24, right? It says, the hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Now, remember he told you now tribute is the word mas, and it's an enforced payment. It also means someone who is a slave laborer, but also someone who has to be discomfited or have something levied upon them. So you have the mem and the samach, and it's the thorn of chaos will grab and hold you. And remember now, this is being slothful, so that's taking us back to again that at slide. You can come back to Hebrew chapter 6, and that's for you to look, know the experience of the discipline of the way. Now we're gonna go back and we're gonna look at them people who gonna end up knowing the experience of the discipline of the way because they were slothful. And we're gonna sit back and look at that what made them lazy. Because they say we can't overtake these people. And then also it caused you to go into deep sleep. So more of ever, you're gonna look and see how your thoughts have moved you to be joined together to chaos because you were slothful and now you caused to be under tribute. So now you become discomfited or have to have a payment laid upon your head. Because now a thorn of chaos will take you and grab hold to you. So that means we'd have to determine who this thorn. See, it don't pay to be lazy when we look at it in the framework of what it really is. Don't be slothful in your business. He said, he that is diligent shall bear rule. So if you like how Mashiach was diligent in his business, he said, wish me not, I must be about my Abba's business. I'm rejoicing. I'm grabbing hold to the Ruach HaKodesh. Because I'm the fruitful son. I'm teaching you to secure yourself to the covenant. I'm teaching you to go do the work. And the work is tied to your faith. See, when you get slothful and you get lazy, it means your faith is non-existent because you don't want to go do the work. So since you become slothful, you're going to know the experience of this discipline. And since you sound here come slothful, now you got to be a partaker of a deep sleep. So now you got to end up seeing that your thoughts joined you together to this destruction. Now you slothful. Now I got to make you put you on a tribute. I got to discomfort you. I got to levy a payment upon you. I have to render judgment upon you. So now you got to turn around and now the thorn of chaos got to grab hold of you. Now death got to grab hold of you. And for what? Because you were lazy. Doesn't pay. Hebrews 6 and 12 or 6 and 11. And we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end, that you be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises. See, before we go any further, right? Let's go to Romans 12 and then Luke 12. See, this is what happens when you get slothful. So he said, you see what he said? Those he say through faith and patience inherit. That means they endured. They endured. So when we talk about getting slothful, we see that we not diligent and strong and focused and got that fire in your belly for the word that you had. You need to return to your first love. Unless I snatch away your crown from you, except you repent. That's what Mashiach told you. That's what he told you. Romans 12. Let's pick that up 12 and 9. Let love be without dissimulation. That means respect of persons. You know what I'm saying? Don't be cool with the person you want to be cool with. Talk to the person you want to talk to and shun others. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good. You should hate evil things. It should disgust you. Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love and honor, preferring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in the ruach, serving Yahuwah. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer, distributing to the necessity of the chassid, given to hospitality. Now, that last part right this here, right? Let me sit back and take it. Nicholas key thing, right? Not slothful in business. Fervent. Fervent is to be passionate in the ruach, serving Yahuwah. But he said not to be slothful in your business. You don't need to be lazy in your service to Elohim. You should be diligent in it. He says, see a man who diligent in his labor, he'll stand before kings. You diligent when you're going to work for Mr. Charlie, or you diligent if you're working for yourself, but you're not diligent to serve your Elohim? That man say, don't you know I must be, this man in the temple. He in the temple. See, we sit back and look at it. Oh, man, I get that when I get there. Oh, I'll do it when I feel like it. He told you, seek ye out the book of Yahuwah and read. That's a part of your business. I'll just read later. Being kind to one another, that's part of your business. Not having respect to person, that's part of your business. You don't even sit back and look at all the things that's a part of your business. Honoring your wife, that's a part of your business. Honoring your husband, that's a part of your business. Loving your children, that's a part of your business. A woman being modest, that's a part of your business. Because don't nobody need to see your body. Because we worrying about the wrong thing. If you dying to Yahuwah, if you dying to Yahuwah, then all that other stuff, you don't care about all the other crap you got going on floating through your head. Is it about you or is it about him? That's the same thing go for a man. You need to walk. Nobody needs to see your body. Nobody needs to see that. Do you know what I'm saying? Nobody don't need to see that. The same thing go for our children. Like we supposed to be considering all that because we don't consider all the elements that pertain to him to serving Yahuwah, even though these things have been spoken unto us through his word. Because we focus on the things we want to focus on, and we feel like I'm strong here, so I'm good. But he told them, you remember what he told the scribes and the Pharisees, you omit the weightier matters of the law to tithe. He said, these you ought to have done and not to leave the other undone. He said, yeah, you supposed to did the lighter matters of the law. But not just to do the lighter ones and say screw the weightier ones, just like you ain't supposed to focus on the weightier ones and say screw the lighter ones. Your mind's supposed to be on that, fervent, passionate doing it. Because this is what you love to do. This is what you love to do. He said he's not unrighteous to forget your labor of love that you meant. Remember, and then this is the key thing too, right? Distributing to the necessity of the chesed, to the saints. Like we supposed to have the mind to want to know that I'm going to be able to give to a sanctified one who is in need. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to like this here. That's a part of your service. We don't even be concerned if a nigga is in need or not. You don't even care. Because you know what our thought process? Shoot, I'm doing bad, so screw it. I ain't worried about it. I got my own family to feed. That's not... They had the apostles' doctrine that is everybody had fellowship one another, and no man considered anything his own, but men had things in common. So they looked at themselves as having what I got, my brother got, and vice versa. And we'll put stuff together. And we didn't talk about this before. You all ate from one body, so how can you, if you sit back and you take of that unleavened bread and you ate, everybody ate from one body, so how could you see yourself as separate parts? When I say separate parts that are not joined one to another. There's separate parts on your body, just like it described in Corinthians. Your feet are separate from your hands, and your legs are separate from your arms, and your torso is separate from your neck. But yet they all work in conjunction together. But we don't look at it in that fashion because we think so individually. Like I was telling you the other day, brother told me straight up and down. We ain't had that issue. But like what the brother was talking about, like, hey man, you read that Corinthians, and he talked about how people come into service and they sitting in there eating and ain't even thought as if there was anybody there in need that may needed some food, because all they think about is themselves. And Paul told them, you might as well stay to the house and eat. Don't even come through here with that type. He said, you got homes to eat and drink in. Because we thinking about self, and that's it. And we can't be. That's not the mind of a Mashiach. He didn't think about self. He thought about one of another, everyone a part of his body. And that's the part of the faith. That's a part of the sacrifice. He had to be thinking about, he wasn't thinking about himself when he got up there on that tree. He was thinking about us. That's why he say that he laid down his life for us, that we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. That's the mind. He said, love one another. This ain't nothing new. We done told you this stuff before. But sometimes we always have to have, remember Deuteronomy just means the repeat and the rehearse. He got to tell us again and again and again, because we are stubborn people. We don't listen or we don't consider. So he has to constantly tell us the same things over and over again. He has to. Because then maybe, Yahuwah willing, we'll consider in our heart to be converted, and we'll take heed and apply what he's telling us. Where are we at? Romans 12. So then we look at that last part, giving the hospitality. You know what that is? To look out for each other. To be hospitable. To be hospitable is just to be nice. You know what I'm saying? To be nice to each other. But remember, offenses will come. Your brother might piss you off if he forget. And we didn't talk about it before. If the man make you upset, if there's a problem, go holler at the man and squash. One thing I've learned in my 37 years of living, man, a lot of problems and issues that people had don't even have to get to the point that they had to get to if the offended party would just open their mouth and say so and go have a conversation. A lot of stuff could be nipped in the bud and ironed out and never fester and grow into a cancerous situation if people just sit down and be adults and have a conversation. A lot of things can be killed from having a conversation. Not a conversation with a whole bunch of other people, but a conversation with the person that you're upset with. Because a lot of times the stuff that people be having an issue with, a lot of the time, it be misunderstandings. Period. That's a lot of times it's what it be. It's just be a misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? Or you not letting the person know. I mentioned y'all this before. If a person loves you and they care about you and they're doing something that offends you greatly, like directly doing it to you, but they're not really cognizant that what they're doing is affecting you in that fashion, how are they going to know to amend the behavior if you don't tell them? Ain't nobody who loves you is just going to keep doing that purposely. If they're doing it purposely, they don't love you. So if that person loves you and you tell them, when you do this to me, boom, 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 then they can be able to rectify that. They can't rectify it if you keeping it on the inside. You know what I'm saying? And nigga too old for that. If you grown enough to pull your penis out and stick your booty in the air and produce a child, then you grown enough to talk to anybody about any adult conversation and rectify and deal with any matter or issue or offense that you got with another human being, whether it's family, friends, word, co-worker. I wouldn't care who it was. You would be able to do that. If you can produce a child, then that means you are mature enough to go have an adult conversation to correct a matter so that that stuff don't continue on and that stuff don't get blown out of proportion and fester into something that can't be fixed because because you didn't want to open your mouth and say something. Because I done told y'all before and I tell you again, if you upset with a nigga and you won't go tell him, that problem you got ain't real then. It can't be real. Because if it was real, you would express it. It can't be real. It's got to be a figment of your imagination. You can't, because you ain't too mad. It don't bother you too much. Because if it bothers you, gonna say something. If it bothers you, gonna say something. And you don't got to say something in no angry way, no disrespectful way. It's about being adults and explaining your perspective so they can understand your perspective. They understand your perspective, that issue will get killed very, very quickly. If this person cares about you, if they love you, if they value the friendship that they have with you, they're going to handle that. People don't like to do that for whatever reason. Nevertheless, we don't, and on top of that, that is a part of our business, what I just mentioned. You know that's in Matthew. You know that's in Proverbs. Debate thy cause with your neighbor. That come in our law. All that stuff, man. All that stuff is part of our business. That's part of your word. Don't be lazy with it. Don't be no sluggard. And since I mentioned that, let's sit back and look at how that these people got disciplined. Numbers 14. Let's see if they got a little thorn, a little chaos, a little trouble, a little blood. A little blood. Because we definitely could substitute chaos for a little blood. Because you can look and see how your thoughts going to join you together to some blood. It ain't no good blood, though. Definitely ain't no good blood. You don't want nothing to do with that blood. Nah, man. That stuff ain't good. What we got? Number 14. What, about verse 23? Yeah, verse 23 sound about right. Nah, verse 23 sound about right. Yeah, verse 23 is about right. But we gonna move around a little bit though. What I want, man. Let's pick it up, verse 1. We'll move around. All the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. That's continuing from what we just read, Numbers 13, right? All the children of Yasharal murmured against Moses, against Aaron, and the whole congregation, and said unto them, would Elohim that we have died in the land of Mizraim, or would Elohim we had died in the wilderness? Wherefore have you who have brought us into this land to fall by the sword, and our wives and our children should be prey. Were it not better for us to return to Mizraim? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, let us return to Mizraim. These some lazy niggas, man. They were slothful and they didn't want to inherit the promise. They didn't believe it. They were slothful in their business. And it was going to call them into a deep sleep. Let's see how. Let's drop down about verse 8. Or make it 7. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Yasharal, saying, the land which we have passed through to search is an exceedingly good land. If you would delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, in a land which flow with milk and honey. Only rebel not against Yahuwah, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us, and the defense is departed from them, and Yahuwah is with us, fear them not. But all the congregations bade stone them with stone. And the esteem of Yahuwah appeared in the tabernacle congregation before the children of Yasharal. Ain't that something? These people were ready to stone Yahusha, son of Nun, and Caleb, because they told them that the land was good and Yahuwah would be with us, we could take it. And they wanted to kill him for it. That's how lazy they were. That's how deceitful they were. This is how these are people who could never notice the difference. Corrupt tree can't bring forth good fruit, and the good tree can't bring forth corrupt fruit. Remember, he said Caleb and Joshua, they had a different spirit with them. Different type of tree, which produced a different type of fruit, a different type of behavior, a different type of thought, a different type of heart. A faithful heart versus an unfaithful heart. That's what you're looking at. That's what you're looking at. Yahuwah said unto Moses, how long will this people, this is verse 11, provoke me, and how long will it be ere they believe me for all the signs which I have showed them? I will smite them with pestilence and disinherit them, and will make thee a greater nation and a mightier than they. Let's drop down, because now that's when he's going to tell Moses, this, that, there, and the third. About, don't do that, this, that, there, and the third. Verse 18. Yahuwah is long suffering and great of mercy, forgiving the iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation. And see, this is how I operate. I'll forgive you, but you ain't clear to what you did, though. I ain't gonna clear you with that, though. See, people take that when you don't clear them for what they done did, that you ain't forgave them. I can forgive you, but you got to, there is a penance for your work. You understand what I'm saying? He forgave David, he still tightened him up, though. He forgave Moses, he still tightened him up, though. He forgave Solomon, he still tightened him up, though. Fool. Just cause I ain't letting something slide as forth as clearing your guilt that I ain't forgave you. See, that nigga talk. Because niggas don't like accountability. You always got to know nigga talk. All us been niggas. So you should know nigga talk when you hear it. Because 9 times out of 10, you done spit it. Pardon, I beseech the iniquity of this people according unto the greatness of thy mercy, and thou hast forgiven this people from Mizraim even till now. And Yahuwah said, I have pardoned according to thy word. But truly as I live, all their rats shall be filled with the esteem of Yahuwah. Because all those men which have seen my esteem and my miracles which I did in Mizraim and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now, these 10 times have not hearkened to my voice. Surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it. But by serving Caleb, because he had another Ruach with him, and have followed me fully, him will I bring into the land whereunto he went, and his seed shall possess it. So, because these people were slothful, we had an hour and 13 minutes. Because these people were slothful and lazy, they just experienced the discipline of the way of Yahuwah. He forgave them. You just seen it. But the discipline was, you can't get in the land. No kingdom for you. No kingdom for you. He said, look, these people not getting in. I'm going to forgive them according to your word. They're not getting in, though. Because these niggas were lazy, and they were provoking me, and they didn't believe me, and they didn't follow after me fully. So you have to consider that. If you don't follow after this man fully, and you don't believe him, and you're a murmurer, and you're a complainer, I'm going to show you the discipline of my way. I'm not letting you get in here. Hebrews chapter 3. See, that's stuff, you got to think about stuff like that, man. All you got to do is just consider it. Because I can't force you to do nothing. All I can do is, just like Paul said, knowing the terror of the master, we persuade men. That's it. I know the terror. I persuade men. Whether you follow, ain't got nothing to do with that. Hebrews 3 and 12. I can't make you do it. Shoot. You got to want to do it. I hope that's what you want. Not just to talk it. Y'all already know how some people feel about me. I didn't even think he did that, then the third, because he know that. I don't think I'm nothing. I'm just dust and ashes. Always known that. I'm just dust and ashes. But it's a grave waiting for me. So lives. So lives. It's a grave waiting for me. Just like it's waiting for everybody else. We all gonna take it there one day. You know what I'm saying? You know, life real crazy, boy. You could be here today and gone tomorrow. Straight like that. You don't never know. You don't never know. Just on the simple fact that even without the word, that I know I can be here today and gone tomorrow. That keep your mind, that keep your feet on the ground. You understand what I'm saying? Because no matter what level you attend to in life, guess what? Steve Jobs had a whole bunch of stuff. People loved them, esteemed them. People buy his products, all that. I got one. That what this thing streaming on. And guess what? He hit that grade, and when he stand before Yahooo, he ain't nobody but Steve Jobs. He don't care nothing about you had Apple Inc. He don't care nothing about how many phones you sold. He don't care nothing about how many people loved you, because that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination before Elohim. All he gonna sit there and pop these bullets open. Let's judge this man according to his works. What? That man don't care nothing about that. That man ain't gonna care nothing about you. Preach the word. You said this and you said that. You work of iniquity. I never knew you. That man don't care nothing about that. Let's pop that book open. Let's look at what you were doing. Let's look at how you were living. Let me see where that faith at. Is the Ruach present? Oh, that make you look at life different. When you go to thinking like that, you look at life different. Take heed, brethren, lest there be any of Hebrews 3 and 12. Take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief and departing from the living Elohim. But exhort one another daily while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. For we are made partakers of Hamashiach if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast until the end. That being diligent in your labor. While it is said today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts as in the provocation. For some, when you had heard, did provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Mizraim by Moses. But with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness? And to whom sware he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believe not? So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. He said, don't be slothful. To those who didn't want to inherit the promises. So you want to equate slothfulness with unbelief. And then when you see with unbelief, you see that when you sit back and you fall into that deep sleep, you see that, look, these thoughts move you to be joined together with chaos or destruction or sin or blood or death. You understand? How you gotta look at that. Because your slothfulness caused you to enter into a deep sleep. That's what happened. That's what happened. So now he's got to sit back, and now your thoughts join you together to get you destroyed. Come over here to Luke chapter 12. We don't need that. We don't want that for you. I remember when I'm sitting there thinking about something, man. Luke 12 and what, 4:2? I remember I talked to a dude. I never forget this. He said, yeah, but I heard about you, boy. You crazy. I ain't never met this man. I never talked to this man for a day in my life. You know what I'm saying? I just funny to me. Because when you deal with preaching the gospel of Yahushua, when you deal with that, I don't care if you're preaching it or you hearing it and you living it, or you bearing witness to the goodness of it to someone. I don't care how you do it. You get treated differently. People think you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? People want to disrespect you. People don't want to be around you. People call you names. People want to do stuff to you. And that's when you begin to see that, if you hadn't seen it already, that the word is real. because you're beginning to become a partaker of his sufferings. See, that's the part of the game. People don't pay attention to that. You're supposed to become a partaker of his sufferings. That's why I always told y'all the persecution ain't coming from no Gentiles, man. The persecute, that man say a man foes are they of his own household. That's what Yahushua told you. That's what Micah told you. Huh? That was Saul and David told you. That's what Absalom and David told you. That's what Adonijah and Solomon told you. Huh? That's what Jacob and Esau told you. We don't think about it that way. Because we don't want to. Because we don't believe the book. We romanticize things and make it how we want to make it. Versus seeing it as he said it. Yahuwah is the realest. Which therefore make his son the realest, because him and his Abba are one. Which means that if you dwell in his son, that make you one of the realest. Because Yahuwah is the realest. You can't be, you got to be one of the realists if you in Yahuwah. Because you don't get no realer than that. And when we talk about real, we talking about authentic. You know what I'm saying? Not the quote unquote street definition of real. We talking about authenticity. Who you are, what you see is what you get. What you say is what you do. This is who you are constantly and consistently, day in and day out. When we feel like Yahuwah got us down or this, that, there, and the third, we beseech Yahuwah. But do we beseech one another in that same instance? You know, your forefathers felt like if Yahuwah wasn't speaking to them, they went and asked him why. Man, why you ain't speaking to us? Answer us, please. Do we ask one another if somebody ain't talked to you in a while? Why you ain't hollered at me? What you got going on? Do we do that? Because he answered his people after a while when he said, you know what, I bear long with him for a minute. Let me answer these people, man. Let me tell them what's going on. Because I'm telling you, a lot of things can be killed with just a conversation. A lot of things in your spirit can be satisfied with just a conversation. To your God, I ain't talking about it no man. 12:42. 12:41. Then Peter said unto him, Master, speak thou this parable unto us, or even to all. And the master said, who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his master shall make ruler over his house, to give them portion of meat in due season? Baruch is that servant whom his master, when he comes, shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he have. But and if that servant say in his heart, my master delay is coming, and shall begin to beat the men servants and the maidens, and to eat and drink and to be drunken, the master of that servant will come in a day when he look not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and he will cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. And another place say the hypocrite, because you were lazy. Oh, he ain't coming. I could take a break. I ain't got to do nothing. And get what happened? He fell in a deep sleep. Because his thoughts. Because he did. And remember, that slothfulness and that laziness, this parable right here, it take you back to Exodus 32. They wanted to eat, drink, and play. They were lazy. Caused them to hit a deep sleep. They died. They got to know the discipline of the way. That sword went upside their head. And what got that sword upside their head? Their thoughts. Their unbelief. You see that? Their unbelief. I told y'all before, man, on a natural level, laziness is bred out of unbelief. It's bred out of the unbelief that you don't believe that you can accomplish the task. Because if you did, you get up and you go handle that because you believe that you're going to get the result. You know what I'm saying? You believe you're going to get the result from the labor. When you don't necessarily believe that you're going to get the result from the labor. And this is not because sometimes people just late because they don't want to do nothing. But I'm not talking about a nigga who just don't want to do nothing. I'm talking about it's something that you know you need to do, a task that's in front of you, and you don't want to get up and do it because you don't believe that you can do it, or you're going to get the result that you want to get from it. So you find a reason, an excuse to be sluggish and drag and not get up off your behind and discipline yourself and go do what you got to go do. You know what I'm saying? Which is along with I told you with procrastination, and I was taught this earlier. Procrastination is also a sign of low self-esteem because you don't believe you're capable, so that's why you're putting it off. And of course, that's not also 100% of the time because procrastination also coming from whatever you pushing off, you don't prioritize. So because it's not a high priority to you, you push it back and you push it back and you push it back when you could have just killed it and finished it right then and be done with it. That's what it means to be diligent in your business. If it's just be done with it. All of us have been guilty of pushing stuff back that you could have just done right then and been done with it. Do you know what I'm saying? But you have to learn to not do that no more. Let me just go ahead. I got it in front of me. Let me do it and be done with it. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's it. And the point I'm reading to mention this here because when you look at Yahushua labor, let me go ahead and let me handle this. He said, man, these people hungry, man. He said, I can't send them away. Let me do this right now and let me feed them. I can't send them away. I can't be lazy with it. I got to do it right now. Because if I don't do it right now, they're going to die. What does that say about me if I let these people walk away from me like this? Be diligent. On top of your game. You'll feel better about yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're more than likely to get more things done and things will be less chaotic and hectic because you're just knocking the stuff out like a machine, efficiently and like this here. And then you can be able to bear rule. When you bear rule, not only will you rule with a Mashiach, but it also shows that you'll be able to rule over your body. And he that can rule over his body is going to bring forth fruit. Especially if you can show that you can be diligent. James chapter 3. Three and 13. Now, of course, earlier in James, he talking about, being able to rule your tongue. But I want you to sit back and look at not only being able to rule your tongue, but rule your body, rule your thoughts. That's what about being diligent and whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Just be on top of your stuff. All of y'all are capable. You all have the capabilities. Ain't none of you stupid. You know what I'm saying? You're not unintelligent people. It's desire. It's desire. Like, how bad do you want to be saved? How bad do you want to be great? Not that the simplicity of now the common catchphrase, let me be great and all that cornball stuff people talking about. Like, how many people want to achieve greatness? How many people want to maximize the most of their abilities and whatever they put their hand to do? A lot of y'all didn't have bumps and failures dealing with this word. Did you learn from them? So that you could be great? So that you could look into greatness? So that you could grab hold to greatness? So you could rejoice? Grabbing hold of that ruach? That's what you got to consider. He said, who is the wise man endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of good conversation his works with meekness and wisdom. The first thing you want to be able to see if somebody's a wise man is that he should be able to show good works in his behavior. And that meekness of wisdom, that means you humility and wisdom. And what is wisdom coming from? The fear of Yahuwah. Reverence to Elohim. But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, esteem not and lie not against the truth. But if you jealous, if you jealous and you want to contend, don't you lie against his word. This wisdom descend not from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devil. So guess what? You see how he put this in here, right? Because a lot of people come to this epistle and they don't use it properly. See, when you look at Adonijah and Absalom, they had bitter envying and strife in their hearts, so they were lying against the truth. Because they weren't showing good works from their behavior with humbleness of wisdom because they feared Elohim. Because, of course, they wouldn't have behaved in the way that they behaved. Nevertheless, For where envying and strife is, there's confusion in every evil work. See, that's how you be able to know what the devil is. When you see somebody jealous and you see somebody stirring up strife, and guess what that takes us to? Sowing discord among brethren with Judas. Showing you how he was a corrupt tree. Because if there ain't no envy in it, he said, well, you see envy and strife, you see confusion and every evil work. Mm-mm. So then you would have to identify who's causing envy and strife. Who got envy? Who causing strife? I know that nigga's, because Elohim is not the author of confusion. We know who authored that. We know Absalom had a lot of envy and strife in him, and we seen a lot of confusion because he was trying to win the hearts of the people and turn them against David. For the wisdom that is from above is first pure. That means it's clean. Then it's peaceable, gentle, easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Oh, man. So ain't no hypocrisy attached to it. So now you ain't over here saying one thing, doing another. Thou sayest you abhor idols, do thou commit sacrilege? You teach others not to commit adultery, does thou commit adultery? See, that's deceit. You understand? See, that take us back to that Remiyah about being idle, that deceit. Remember, we got the Rosh, the Meme, the Yad, and hey, what it is, right? You look at your thoughts, and that word bring you the blood. Again, it's your thoughts that's going to get you killed if they wicked. Change your thought. As a man thinketh, so he is. He said, what defile a man but that which come out of his heart? What proceed out of the hearts of men? Evil thoughts, adultery, fornication, evil eye, blasphemies, lasciviousness, murder, deceit. That's the stuff with a slothful lazy. When we go back and look at our forefathers, that's what they were exhibiting. Covetousness. Whether we sit back at the top, the man and Yahushua son of Nun, Achan, covetousness. His thoughts. He was lazy. Saul, unbelief. We could go for days and days and days because this stuff was written for our learning. It was written for our learning so we can see and identify the ways that are not acceptable to Yahuwah. I want us to do the things that are acceptable to Yahuwah, that our souls be preserved, that we don't come to be joined together with this blood or this chaos, that we are not showing, because that's what happened when you lazy. Your works show forth the works of the devil and not the works of Elohim. Because Elohim working. Hold on, what that is? Isaiah 40. Isaiah 40. I think it's Isaiah 40. It might be Hosea 14. Let me see. I'm old, you know. So I forget things. Get things jumbled up. Mixed up. Yeah, I was right. Praise the Lamb. Isaiah 40 and 26. We could read 25 though. Ain't gonna hurt nobody. When you deal with this word, and I can bear witness, a lot of people will say stuff to your face. A lot of people won't. Some people call you by certain names to your face. Call you by different names when you ain't present. I hope it don't bother you. Because they plotted to kill Yahushua when they ain't present. Nigga talking bad about you shouldn't even bother you. At least they ain't plotting to kill you. Ain't nobody took no oath that they wasn't going to eat till they killed you. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody stone you in front of a whole bunch of people like they did Peter them. Your own brother ain't kill you like Abel. Got killed. You know? Let things be in perspective. Don't mean that I'm saying that this stuff feels good or great to you. To keep things in perspective. That's all. Dang, I'm tired of that junk popping up on there. To whom then will you liken me, or shall I be equal, saith the Kadesh one? Lift up your eyes on high and behold who created these things. Bring out their hosts by number. He called them all by names, by the greatness of his might. For he that is strong in power, not one fail. Why say thou, O Jacob, and speak thou, O Yasharal, my way is hid from Yahuwah, and my judgment is passed over from my Elohim? Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard? that the everlasting Elohim, Yahuwah, the creator of the ends of their rats, faint not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. See, he don't get weary. He don't get tired. He don't get lazy. Ain't none of that going down. But ain't nobody searching for his understanding. See, I got one more thing with slothfulness. But Yahuwah willing, I'm going to save it on tomorrow because we're approaching 2 hours. And I ain't going to be able to get my last part in if I do that. So let's go to Deuteronomy 33. Back to it and end with this last part I had at the bottom. I just want everybody to consider, man. I know Yahuwah is real. I know his salvation is real. And I know he's just and upright and good altogether and will deliver all those who believe on him through the testimony of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, both of whom are Baruch forever and ever. And if we just latch hold, we'll live. You hear me? We'll live. That's guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Deuteronomy 33 and 24. And of Asher, he said, let Asher be Baruch with children. Asher means happy. Let him be acceptable to his brethren. Let him dip his foot in oil. See this here? So the happy one, remember we read that is happy is the man who suffers. Remember that? So he said, let Asher be happy and let him be Baruch with children. Now we already read how Yahushua was standing in the midst of the congregation and that he that sanctified all of one and he wasn't ashamed to call them brethren. And we talked about children last week with the fruit. So then you know his children are those who come forth of him. Because remember we read in Isaiah chapter 9 last week, it'll be called, we read that, I'm sorry, on Wednesday. The mighty Abba, be called Abba, called Father. And we seek to be Baruch, to be his children, to be counted worthy to be of his seed. That's what we talked about it last week, so I'm not going into great detail. So they say, let him be acceptable to his brethren. Remember what we read in John, we get in John 17, Father, those who you have given me, they have believed on me, and I've lost none, save he, the son of perdition. His brethren accepted him, which would be the apostles. They accepted him. And then he sent them to preach of him. And then we that are of his brethren, we accepted him, meaning the testimony of Yahushua. See, if you are not of his brethren, you're not going to accept the testimony. You're not going to receive it because you're not a part of the family. He said, remember what he said. He said, hey, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. You're not of my sheep, as I have told you. You're not of my flock, as I have told you. Thy shoes shall be iron and brass, and thy days, so shall thy strength be. There is none like unto the Elohim of Yeshurun, who ride upon Shamahim in thy help, and his excellency on the sky. The eternal Elohim is thy refuge. Underneath are the everlasting arms, and he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, destroy them. Now keep that in mind. Everlasting arms. That's Olam. Because it's just going to say everlasting. When like I said, it says Olam. You know what I'm saying? We talked about that. You got the U, the Lamar, and the Meme. So you have the teaching of the sacrifice of life. And he tells you that under his everlasting, that Elohim is your refuge. So when you go into Yahushua and he dwells in you and you dwell in him, that's your refuge. You dwell in everlasting, or you dwell in the teaching of the sacrifice of life. That teaching of that sacrifice of life is for you to offer yourself. Sacrifice continually. Live your life as a living sacrifice. We have became to be a Kadesh priesthood to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahushua HaMashiach. So now you're a chosen priesthood. The people who was declared you are not the people of Elohim, now he will say you are the children of Elohim. Because now he's Baruch this man with children, and you have accepted your brother, because he is the one who is happy, because he is the one who is blessed, because he was blessed to be resurrected from the dead, being the firstborn from the dead, to translate us into his kingdom of light out of darkness. And we ought to serve this man with fervency of spirit, diligent in business, with the whole mind, heart, and soul, and rejoice in his goodness, and grab hold to the skirt of his garment, because we know Elohim is with him, and never be slack, lax, and slothful in our service as long as the breath is in our lungs. Period. Because we have to start considering that. You serve him through faith. Because he say, let the just live by their faith. So if you serve this man in Ruach and in truth, there is absolutely no way and no how that you would go against this man's word in any shape, form, or fashion. Because the only way you can serve him is if you die. Because we talked about this last week, right? We talked about this last week. Say a book of remembrance was written before him on all those who thought upon his name. And he said, and they shall be mine when I make up my jewels, and I shall spare them, as a father who spared his own son who served him. Remember, he said, my father gave me a commandment, what I should do and what I should speak. And his commandment was that he died. He died to self. He died to his own will. Because it's nothing. Let me tell you something, right? The reason why I mention this here, when the rich man say, what should I do to inherit eternal life? He told him, keep the commandment. He said, I've been doing that my entire life. He said, I take it a step further. Sacrifice. Forsake everything you got and come follow me. He wasn't willing to do it. Which means he wasn't willing to serve Elohim. He wasn't willing to do it. He didn't trust Yahuwah that much. He didn't believe in Yahuwah that much. He believed in what he had and what he could see and what he could touch. When the man came through and he said, okay, what should I do to inherit eternal life? What's the two greatest commandments? He said, love Yahuwah with all your heart and soul and your neighbor as yourself. And seeking to justify himself. He said, who is my neighbor? Oh, then he gave him that parable. He said, yeah, you go have mercy. You go do likewise. Because he wasn't willing to do that. He wasn't willing to do that. He wasn't willing to do that. He wasn't willing to serve Elohim in that capacity. This is why the epistle letters talk about these certain things about the law don't justify nobody. Because Isaiah 53 had already told you this, along with numerous other places of where your justification would come. And this is why the prophet Habakkuk came back through later and say the just shall live by their faith. Abraham was justified by his faith. Isaac was justified by it. Jacob was justified by it. Joseph was justified by it. And then Yahushua will justify us through him, through that exact work. No doubt, no doubt. You know you're good. So, because we know that, right? Because he said, what is the greatest commandment? To love Yahuwah with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And that's faith. And that's faith. Because when you have that, then of course you're not going to steal. Of course you're not going to lie. But that faith will come. See, our forefathers, that's why we read that Numbers 13 about them being slothful. Our forefathers ain't had no faith, so they didn't even trust Yahuwah to be able to even go over there and overtake the people of the land. See, those commandments would have not allowed them to do that. They had to have some faith. And they didn't have it. Because remember, he said they didn't enter in because of unbelief. They provoked him continually. Because after a while, because guess what, right? Our ancestors had the law. So we already know that wasn't the thing. That wasn't the service that he was looking for. He said, remember what Yahushua said? He said, I didn't come down to do my own will. I came down to do the will of him that sent me. So that's for us to humble ourselves to the stake and die and then manifest the fruits of righteousness, which is Elohim. Because we talked about this last week too. The long suffering, the gentleness, the goodness, the forgiveness. The things that we like to omit, or like what he told the scribes and Pharisees, you tithe the anise and the cumin, but the weightier matters of the law you omit, the judgment, the mercy, and the faith. See, we toss that to the side and say, well, I'm doing this over here, but what about this over here? Because we know when we're dealing with judgment, we're destroying the things that are wrong. We know with mercy, we're showing compassion and pity. We know, and with faith, we trust in the Elohim fully. And these are the heavier matters of which Yahuwah want us to hit. Oh, yeah, we know Yahushua is the son of the living Elohim, without question. Without question. According to what's written in these scriptures, without question. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, all day long. But let me hit this here because my phone on 20%. Because I didn't plug it up to the charger because we're trying to keep my phone on point. But when you talk about thrusting out the enemy, we have 3 enemies. Really 4 enemies. Sin is an enemy. The wicked are enemy, and that's a twofold thing, whether they be of the house of Yasharal or other nations. And death is an enemy. More so, we focusing on death, sin, because the soul that sin is shall die. That's what he told us in Ezekiel. So when he say you make him your refuge and you dwell under his everlasting arms, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, because I got to get to this verse 29 before my phone dies. Oh, no, you good, brother, man. You good, you good. That's because well, when we look at regeneration, regeneration would be the resurrection of the dead. So I don't know how you would become, what your understanding of regeneration is. I've heard some gentlemen's viewpoint on regeneration a time or two. I have to stay looking so I can catch it when you type that, because if I don't catch it, I'm not ignoring you. I just didn't see it. No doubt, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, man, no doubt. Yeah, I just don't want you to think I'm ignoring if I don't catch it, because I don't be looking for it, so I might not catch it. 1 Corinthians 15 and 20. But now is the Mashiach risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all died, even so in the Mashiach shall all be made alive. But every man in his own order. Hamashiach the first fruits, and afterwards they that are Mashiach's at his coming. Then come the end when he had delivered up the kingdom to Elohim, even Abba, and when he had put down all rule and all authority and all power, he must reign till he had put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that should be destroyed is death. So now he states how he's going to remember in Deuteronomy 33 and 27, that he will thrust out the enemy from before thee and shall say, destroy them. Because remember, we talking about Yahushua being diligent in his business. So he's going to destroy death and he's going to thrust it out. He's going to thrust it out. I don't think I have my word for Kakash already on here. Definitely don't. But it's definitely a kaf and a cotton and a shon, and we finna get to that in verse 29. Because it's more to deal with in Deuteronomy 34, and Yahuwah will not do it tomorrow. Yasharal then shall dwell safely alone, safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon the land of corn and wine. Also his shamahim wood shall drop with dew. Happy art thou, O Yasharal, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahuwah, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency. Thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. Like I said, that word for enemy is kakash. It means a lie. It means someone who feigns obedience. Remember I mentioned a year earlier, Judas feigned obedience. Like Paul wrote in one of his epistles that he said they have a form of godliness, but deny the truth. Some such don't deal with. So when you look at Kakash and you got the Kaf and you got the Khan and you got the Shan, and you sit back and you see a consuming work is going to separate them. They are consumed with ungodliness and sin because of the feigning of obedience. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to lead into that on tomorrow because this phone going to die. And I definitely want to die in the midst of that. But I kind of did it kind of a little backwards. But we try to work it in all together. So you can sit back, and that's what Judas did. And when we look at feigned obedience, that's hypocrisy. So what we're going to go into, you who are willing, on tomorrow is hit the things that pertain into the promises that we just seen in this Deuteronomy 34 with Asher, and the goodness that he going to have and the destruction of our enemies, and be able to conclude the whole thing that we see, which goes back to the treasures hid in the sand, which we read with Zebulon. And then to bring it to the totality, because I think the point has been made with the being slothful, and we know what that the base of being slothful is. It's a thought thing. It's your thoughts. because your thoughts are dictating your works. It's dictating your service. And then it's causing you to, his wrath is going to be upon you, or his discipline is going to be upon you, or it's going to cause you to be excluded from his kingdom. That's not what we want. We want to be diligent and inherit those promises because we know that he is faithful, that promise. So hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. Yahuwah willing, we'll pick this up on tomorrow. I appreciate everybody this evening, and Baruch every one of you out the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua. And then yeah, we'll pick it up from there. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take this here because it's probably gonna die soon. It's probably gonna die.